Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Financially Forever After. We are your hosts, Lindsey and
Brett the Moneymaker, Shonkway.
Here to give you some love, longevity, and your relationship tips, as well as
Financial tips.
I feel like I always echo you on that. Financial tips. It's like financial tips. Oh my gosh. I'm keeping it PG, babe.
Okay.
Keep it PG. So what's going on in the world?
Where's your mind at right now? Oh my gosh.
You said it.
Just the financial tip today is what we're talking about here in the second part of this segment.
Yes, exactly. So it's kind of funny, but our son, he just finished his freshman year
Of high school.
And he's starting to kind of have some conversations with the girl. She's a sophomore, so
Ooh.
cougar, right?
I mean, I dated up a couple times. in high
Okay,
school.
we're not going to talk about who you dated. We're this
Up one level, only
this-
one. Same thing.
Give me their names and their numbers. I might
I
have a
mean,
conversation with these.
it's a
Who
little
are these
in the
women?
past, honey. A little in the past.
So anyway, I was just kind of having a conversation with him today, and he's like, well, we might meet up and go walk around the lake that's in our town here. And it's just kind of funny, just the dynamic of like first
They're
getting
awkward.
to chat.
They're very awkward.
Yeah, and I think about it. I think about when you and I were first starting to talk and meet, and we met at work. We were working at the local pizza shop. So it was a little different with us because one, we didn't have social media like they do now. We didn't have Snapchat, and we had texting and calls. That's about
Well,
it.
you got to ask a girl, like, hey, can I get your Snap?
Yeah.
Me, like, I don't do social media. You do all this stuff for us.
Yeah, I do a lot of the social
I wouldn't
media.
know how to get on the Snap. I don't
No,
know that.
you would not do well with Snap, or it'd be
No.
something really ridiculous
text me,
that
call
no
me.
one wants to see. But yeah, no, I think it's more of the Snapchat's more of the less serious than if you're asking for their number. So it's like, hey, we just want to get your Snapchat and kind of like get to
okay.
know you,
Got it.
which is a weird way to get to know someone because they're just short little like pictures
Is it
and
like
things they
like a
send.
GIF or GIF or whatever? they call
No,
that,
no,
or
no.
what is
It's
it?
something that you're posting yourself.
It's like a text message.
Yeah, not really. It's like videos or pictures that you can send out. I mean, yeah, you can text on it, but it's not like just a general text
Okay,
message.
sure.
But so it's just kind of cute kind of to see what we went through, and now we're watching him having to go through.
You're gonna be awkward.
Yeah, and they are so awkward. I'm like, were we this awkward?
Never. I was smooth like
I
butter.
feel like we were a little bit.
I mean, you might have been, but I'm smooth like butter. Again.
I'm trying to thinking back to our first date. I think you took me to Applebee's.
Applebee's on a date night.
Yeah.
I should make a song like that.
A little bit baby back wing or baby back
Baby
ribs.
back ribs.
I don't think I had that. But
Chili's, baby back
that's when I
ribs.
was first realizing that I
song.
was lactose intolerant, and I didn't know. Like
Oh, yeah.
food allergies weren't really too much of a thing when we were
We
growing
drove to
up.
Colorado numerous times. You're like, I got to pull over.
And I had cheesecake. Yeah, I would eat
I'm like,
cheesecake and dairy. I had no idea. But yeah, so our first date, I think I had like fettuccine Alfredo, which if you're lactose intolerant,
Yeah,
your
not good.
worst nightmare. And so I was not feeling well. I think we were going to go do something else after the dinner, but I was like, no, you got to get me
I
home.
thought that was hockey.
No. Oh yeah, you're right. That was our first date. This must have been our second date though.
Yeah.
Because you drove and took me to the restaurant, but then you stopped at a gas station and got me Sprite and some Pepto-Bismol.
What a guy.
That was so nice. I think we went back to my parents and shot hoops in the driveway.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Which I really did show you that I liked you because I am not a basketball person.
I can attest to that. 'cause you are,
that is
I
not
love you,
something
but
I
you
would
are
have chose.
Not good at that.
So you know that early on in the relationship, you're putting your best foot forward because I was not into that.
You're like, I'm a looking and I'm a liking.
I look good in my uniform. It's about as
It's very true.
athletically basketball that I was.
Hey, that's
but,
all right. You're good at lots of other things.
But yeah, so it's cute. Young love, adorable. Even if you're just starting out, let's say you're in the middle of your life and you're starting over. I think that those firsts are always fun. Just kind of getting to know someone, first date, first deep conversations that you have. I don't know. The little butterflies you get. Why are you laughing?
I think of the one time in Omaha that we tried to pretend we didn't know each other.
We based it off that show. It was that show with Phil and Modern Family.
Yeah.
They did
the
it on
blonde
Modern
gal.
Family.
Yeah.
Where they
It's been done
his
a couple
wife
times
Claire,
in movies. Yeah, Claire.
and then they tried to pretend they didn't know each other, and he picked her up in a bar.
Yeah.
We did try that. It did not go over well.
We both had backstory. I should stuck with who I am now because I could have played that really well.
Yeah.
It was
What
like,
was your backstory?
I worked at like a cereal plant and my wife had died and
Oh yeah, you were a widow. I was like,
widow.
that's not sexy.
yeah.
You worked at a cereal plant.
I don't know. I think
Like,
so. Like
where-
Kellogg's or something. I don't know. I couldn't remember. You said make something up.
What?
Or no, didn't I work at a
backstory.
dog? No, I said I did something with animals because I
like
knew
a
you liked
rescue place.
animals. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
it was
right.
just really like a depressing, like you're like, my wife died. I work with animals where sometimes they get put down. And I was just
I
like,
don't
this
remember
is
that
not, this is
And
not doing
in the middle
it
of
for
it, you
me.
just stop. You're like, yeah, no, this isn't working.
So what was the hilarious about all of that is the bartender. He's watching all this go down. Had no idea we're actually really married, but he's watching you fail epically.
No.
Yes.
You sat down first.
Yeah, I was there.
And then like I was
And
like,
then
hey, I'm gonna come in a couple minutes.
Yeah, you
later.
did.
And then you already showed him your ID.
Yeah.
And then I came in and it has the same last name, but I don't think bartenders
I don't
actually
think he
look
knew.
that close.
Yeah, I don't think he did. No, I thought we showed him at the door. I don't think the bartender ever actually saw
No,
our
I
IDs.
didn't. I remember giving.
But it was hilarious because you so epically failed, and he's just like, this poor guy. But then we left together because obviously we're married. We're like, okay, this is done. We're just gonna leave. And his eyes when we were leaving, he was just like, how did he turn that around?
I'm smooth like butter. I told you.
It's really funny. So he was probably like, what in the world? Like that guy, I don't know what he ended up doing, but he got the girl in the end.
Yep.
So yeah, let's get into some other.
The wedding ring had something to do with that, or who you went home with that night.
We didn't wear our rings.
Oh, we didn't?
No, we took them off.
Oh, I'd
'cause
have a hard time taking
We were
this.
playing a character. You, I think, had yours on because you can't take yours off.
No, it's stuck.
You're playing the widow card.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
oh, I'm still wearing this ring of my wife. I'm like,
I did. I don't
"Oh."
think I did that.
It was
with my
awkward.
ring.
So if you're gonna pretend to be different people on a date and regain the spark, maybe do your backstory.
Don't be a widow. Yeah, don't.
Or
be
do
could
some
be,
research into like better character development. I don't know.
I mean, I knew you liked animals. I thought
Yeah.
I thought that was a strong card to play.
we didn't play that up so well, but
No.
it was a good effort. I give us A for effort.
Yeah, I give us like F for execution.
Yeah, more like. So yeah, let's get into our relationship topic
Okay, what do we
today.
got?
I liked this category. It was called the Petty Olympics.
Okay.
Take a guess what you think the Petty Olympics would
What
pertain
petty
to.
things do you do to your significant other just to get back at them for something that they did to you?
Yeah, and with that, it's also the silliest arguments that you've had. So little petty things that you might bicker about, or most people will be like, this is not a big deal, but to you and your significant other, it's a big deal. So some of the examples, and I'm going to give you some examples they had, but then I want to hear what you say about what we do. For instance, the thermostat war. You and I don't really fight over that. We're pretty consistent with we like it cold at night. We turn it up just a little bit during the day.
Yeah, that's not a big
Somebody
deal.
said once though that that's not a good way to do it. You actually lose money doing it that way because it's always constantly playing catch up.
You're probably right, but
Our
we
house
like-
would be freezing.
we like
if
the
we left
temperature
it
the
there
way we
all
want
day.
it.
Like
So
if
we're like,
we turn it really cold at night.
it's worth the $10 a
True.
day to have
Plus
the way
we're
we want.
geothermal, so it's a little bit different than
Yeah, it's still a lot of money.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, we're pretty on the same page with that. How to load a dishwasher. We did argue at this in the beginning stages of our marriage because you would scrub every plate. Like I
You're
didn't even
still
know.
supposed to.
I didn't know the dishwasher was dirty because of how clean you clean the plates. I'm like, what's the point of doing the dishwasher if you're scrubbing them to the point of no food particles on the plate? What, just put some soap on it and then put it away. It made no sense to me. I think I do a better job now of, I'll get the major food. I used to put it in full on everything is in the dishwasher.
Until you get a plate out of the dishwasher that's got a chunk of something on it, that's disgusting.
Yeah.
And then you think they're all disgusting.
Well, and
I'm
then
like,
I've had to clean
ew.
out the dishwasher filter, and ever since seeing that, I'm like,
Oh
this is-
yeah, maybe I
this is
should have it
disgusting.
mostly clean, if not all clean when it goes in.
You're right. So you've won that battle. I scrub things off before putting it in.
You know what I had to give up?
What?
Because we said that you would do that.
Oh.
It was reusing your towel.
Yeah, you wanted to get a new towel every time.
Yeah.
And I was like, absolutely not. I'm doing the bulk of the laundry. I am not washing your towels every single day. I'm like just a couple days of a week, maybe a week. First of all, you should be clean when you're getting out of the
Okay,
bathtub.
so what's the deal on
or
the bathtub
shower.
then? Do you ever clean the bathtub?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it gets dirty, but in essence, it's a shower. It should be
Yeah,
water
but
and
that's
soap.
different because you're using, it's like residue buildup and like just soap scum. I wouldn't say it's like dirty. It's just stuff you need to scrub out.
I've never understood baths. Like, you get all the dirt
Yeah,
off, and
you
then you
hate the
sit in a
baths.
bath. Like, so you're sitting in your dirty water.
Ideally,
Like,
in
that
a
doesn't make any sense.
Best case scenario, you're taking a bath and then you shower after because then you're shower. But
So like,
I just love a bath with some like bubbles in it and some like
I don't know. I don't do baths. I hate that.
magnesium scrubs, or not scrubs, but soaks. Like, yeah, relaxing. It's a great time to
Or
read your books too.
when you're having your wine.
Oh yeah, I mean,
and reading a book on your
cup
phone.
of-
That's
glass
what
of
it's really
wine,
about. Yeah.
a few chocolates.
Oh gosh.
You got your book in front of you. I mean, that sounds like a glorious night.
sounds
Ask
terrible.
Chandler Bing from Friends if you've seen that episode. Monica used to take a bath and then he was always knocking it and then he tried it and he was like obsessed.
Yeah, no, that's not gonna happen.
So we just need to get you
Nope.
into the tub.
Mm-mm.
I think you would enjoy it. Okay, so the other ones were lights on. If you leave the lights on, we do pretty good with that. I don't think that's not too much. This is a big one for us. Doors locked at night. You are notorious for like forgetting to lock the doors, and you're like, well, I have a security cameras or whatever, but I'm like, lock the doors, make sure they're locked, making sure everything is secure at night. You are Mr. Forgetful when it comes to that.
Well, I go to bed earlier than you anymore.
Sometimes,
because you're always
yeah.
up late reading.
Yeah,
So that's
sometimes.
supposed to be on you.
Yeah, but if you go out in the basement door, I don't always
Yeah.
know. So what would you say? What would you add to our petty Olympics, like one upping? Or
I mean,
like
I
little
know you
things?
get. I don't say it's petty. It just happens. Like, you get mad when I shave and have the little whiskers on the
my
sink.
Gosh,
And then you're like,
yes.
ugh, and you just get so mad when I do it. I'm like, you don't want me to have like long whiskers. You want me to
No.
shave it, but you just think it's going to magically go into the air and disappear.
No, I want you to clean it till
And
it's sparkling.
I do, and you're just like, oh my God. Like you
Did
just get
you
mad
not-
when I
Did
even
you not
start.
see the picture I took the other
It
day?
was hilarious. I actually found that too.
I was cleaning the sink yet again because he forgets his whiskers. It looked like a little sad face on the sink. It was like an eye and a nose and a
Made
and a
from the
mouth.
whiskers.
Made of his whiskers. So I was like, even the sink is sad about your lack of
It was
cleaning
hilarious. I did see it. And then like later that day I looked, I'm like, oh, hot dang, there it is right there. That's pretty cool. I almost thought of leaving it up there. I washed it down though.
I was like, this is just a sign from God. He's like, I feel your pain.
No.
I feel your pain.
How about you with all your coffee cups that you leave?
I do.
You got to have a coffee.
You're right.
Like you're a fish. You got
I
to drink
am-
drinking some all the time.
I have to have liquids with me always. My car is
goodness.
full of cups.
Ridiculous.
In everywhere, in every cup holder in the car, there is
It's
something.
ridiculous.
And then you're right. I am pretty notorious about leaving my. Sometimes though, I'm very forgetful. I'll drink it and I'll put it down and I won't remember where I put it, so I'll have to get a new cup because I have no idea where I set the cup.
This is what I'm dealing with.
And then I would say probably one of yours for me would be my hairs, like from my head,
Yeah.
like everywhere. I shed like a dog.
Just sweep it up.
You know what I like to do, and I've seen people posting this on Reels, is the wives will like have their showers of like the hair and they'll leave it on the wall.
Ew.
I've done this to you before though. You get in the shower, there's like a clump of hair on the wall of the shower.
Disgusting.
I've done that to you.
Probably.
So yeah, those are some petty Olympics. Do
Okay.
you have any other add to? This is your confessional time. Do you have any additional petty Olympics you'd like to add?
You picking at us all the time, like, oh, look at like you're a freak about like zits,
I
like, oh my gosh, I gotta scrape it, oh I gotta squeeze it, I'm like, just
Yeah.
don't touch me.
You don't want it there, and sometimes
I
you
don't
can't
want you
reach
to be
it.
picking at me. There you go.
You'll thank me in the long run.
Uh-huh. It's been a very long run, and I'm not thankful right now for that. What do you got? What do you think?
Of the petty stuff.
Yeah, what else you got?
I mean, I think the door lock thing is a major one that for me, the whisker one is by far obviously you hit that one right on the head. I'm trying to think if there's any other. You're pretty good. You don't leave dishes in the sink. I know that was on a lot of people's list of like cleaning up after yourselves. I think for being married almost 17 years, we've really gotten to know like what ticks the other person off. So I think we do a pretty good job of making sure.
So yeah, if something does frustrate your other half, try not to do it.
Yeah.
Try not
That
to
would
do
probably
it.
be good
Be
advice.
respectful. You know, it's a good
Yeah.
way to start a fight. So don't do that. Don't do it. You know?
Touche.
Take yourself, like we said in a prior episode, take yourself to the next level.
Yeah.
And like, pretend that you are just dating that person.
Yeah, that's a
rather
good
than
point.
you're married to. Like, would you have left that out? Would you have
Right.
How would you want it presented to you if you were just dating that person?
Absolutely.
And then try to do that.
Well, and I'm glad you said that because we've had this conversation because I work from home. I'm home a lot of the time. And so I see our house as my office. So we've had this conversation. I'm like, well, I wouldn't want to come to your office where all your stuff is organized and have it like a mess and leave things all over. That would drive you crazy. So you do a really good job of like, if I'm going out with the girls or, you're putting the kids to bed or cleaning up dinner, of making sure the dishes are away or making sure the kitchen's wiped down. So that extra step and extra level, like you said, makes a big difference.
Because you know what pisses the other one off.
Yeah.
And try not to do that.
Yeah.
Try to make them happy when they
Yep.
come home. Like, because I want you to have a good night out
Yeah.
with the girls and,
And not come home and be stressed out. And
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep. So
That's good advice. Way to turn these petty Olympics around, babe.
yeah, exactly.
What do you got today?
Okay,
for us
so
on the finance side?
On the finance side, feeling financially stuck, the misconception of financial advising. So here's it's a New York Post. So this is what for the article is from. It says, while 83% of people say they would like to be better prepared financially, more than half, 53% of them don't know where to start or are worried that they've waited too long to seek financial advice to make a real difference in their future. So what amount of money do you think that you need to have before you start like using a financial advisor or having financial advice? Say you weren't married to me. Obviously, you know some of that stuff. But what do you think, like we said in a prior episode about, actually his last episode, I think it was about, hey, what advice would you give to an 18-year-old, if they just graduated high school? So what would you say for somebody that is maybe a graduate of high school or in college or like just got a job or like when's the perfect time to start a financial plan? What do you think?
I mean, I would say the sooner the better, obviously. Maybe you don't have a lot of money to invest right away, but just getting advice of maybe a professional that can give you tips to work towards. Monetary, I would say maybe a minimum of like, I'm just going to shoot middle of the road, maybe 25 to 50,000.
Yeah, I think that would be a good starting point. I mean, and it could be even if you just have a job, like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm just getting into the workforce. I graduated college, or maybe it's just out of high school. You just got a job and you say, hey, what should I do? Now I'm investing in this 401k or I have this full-time job.
Yeah.
Should I be doing a Roth 401k? Should I be doing a regular 401k? Do I get a match on that? Which fund should I be in? Should I be in international or large cap or small cap? Like, how should you be invested in there? But the sooner you can get started, the better. There's fund minimums for some of the stuff. It might like, hey, you have to have $5,000 to get in or 10 grand, or you can say, all right, well, what type of accounts should I start up and do? So since I've taught you a few different accounts that you can start up, what would you say, hey, if I'm a young investor, and you might not know, that's okay, I'll answer it. Where would you start? Like, what would you think to put your money in just right off the bat? If you say, hey, I just started and I'm out of college, I got a new job, I'm starting to put in a 401k or a retirement account. What account should you start next?
I mean, I would hope you already have like a savings account. I know you don't get much like interest from that, but maybe a Roth IRA or an IRA.
Yeah, look at you all learning.
I'm learning.
I'm so proud of
and
you.
growing in my knowledge.
There you go. Yep. So kind of the basics is you get a job. You should have about 3 to 6 months of your gross annual earned income liquid, because it's kind of like, what's the foundation? The foundation is like part one. Like, get that going. If you get a match through work, you want to take full advantage of the match. If you say, hey, if I put in 5%, I get a 5% match, or put in 6, I get 3. Do to the maximum match if you can. From there, I wouldn't put any extra in, because you could do a Roth outside. You could do a Roth IRA unless you make way too much money to do it. There's certain limitations, but typically if it's your first job or brand new job, you're not going to make more money than what allows you or disallows you to do a Roth IRA. So I would say that would be a good spot. You might have some liquid available monies. a few years or not years in, maybe a few months in, you say, hey, all right, I maxed the Roth. Now, do you know how much you can put in a Roth? Any idea?
I feel like we talked about
we
this.
definitely talk about this, but I'm quizzing you here. How much can you put in 2025? What's the max you could put in?
The max you can put in or the minimum?
What's the maximum you can put in?
$20?
$20. No.
20,000.
$7,000. $7,000. So
okay.
if you're under the age of 50, you can do $7,000.
Okay.
If you're over the 50, you get what's called the catch-up provision. You can do an extra $1,000 in that, so you
Okay.
can do $8,000. And you might say, all right, well, let's just say you're married, and I'll make it simple. Say you make $50,000, and I don't make anything. I might be going to college still, but we're married or whatnot, or I'm just at home or something of that nature. Well, what could happen is you could put $8,000 in for a Roth, and I can, in essence, kind of borrow from your earnings. And I could also do $8,000 in Roth. So we could both do, $8,000 a year. Or excuse me, if we're over 50 in that case. If we're under 50, we could only do $7,000. So you could do up to $14,000 per person. But that's a way to grow money tax-free, get it out tax-free. So that's kind of the foundation there. But a lot of people think so. Going back to this New York Post, 3 and 4, so it's actually 77%, say they wish that they could have done things differently in the past that would have made their financial future better. So I thought of one example for us, how we could have, we were very young in our relationship. I thought of another one just by saying this, that we spent money that we shouldn't have spent on certain things. Do you remember the pans that we bought?
Okay, here's a little tip for anybody that's going to get married and you go to those little wedding fairs and they have all the little booths that you stop by and you think this is a great deal. Don't buy the pans. There's these, what were they even called? They're these stainless steel pans and they were supposed to make the best steamed vegetables and chicken.
And you set one pan on top of the other. So
Yeah.
like when you're cooking Thanksgiving meal, then oh, look, you can stack them all up and they'll cook each other and you only lose like 5 to 10 degrees in each one.
Sucked in.
And I'm like,
You thought it was a great idea.
it sounded great at the time, but looking back on it, like, we don't even make Thanksgiving meal. Like we go to like a parent's house.
Yeah,
right? And
we do now.
Like we'll bring stuff.
Yeah.
Like, we'll have Christmas and other stuff here now. But at the time
we did
and
not.
you can get it for like,
and it was just you and I eating. So why did we need to make so much
1/100th
food?
of the cost by getting the other one. Granted, there's
And then
nothing
I
against
hated-
those salesmen, and they
got to make a living.
They gotta make a
It's like
living,
the people
too.
that sell those knives too. Yeah, it's like you got to make a living, but be cautionary with where you're.
So I just think from a financial perspective, early on, that was probably
what was the other one?
Timeshare. Yep.
We were young and dumb and didn't know it. We were not financially responsible.
We actually did that prior to getting married.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
Timeshare. We thought it was going to be the best investment of our life.
We was like, oh, well, our family will travel like this and we will have a nice place they can stay.
And we can
when they
pass
do
it down to
travel.
our kids.
And we can, And then we learned more.
Yeah.
And I would say timeshare, according to the IRS, at least last time I looked, has a zero value. So they'll try to sell it 20, 30, 40, 50 grand. You pass it on to the next generation. Next generation, they don't want to have to pay those maintenance fees.
Yeah.
Guess what?
That's where they get you, the maintenance fees.
Yeah. So the cost that you pay for the maintenance fees, then you can only use certain specific locations. Now, granted, the places you do go to, like, they're nice.
Yeah.
Like, they actually have very nice rooms and whatnot. But you have to have, a year and a half ahead of time. And there's just so many different like blackout dates and things you have to worry about rather than, I want to I want to go to this other place.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, that's not on the timeshare list. Sorry, you can't go there. Mm-hmm. You got to go somewhere else. So that was not a wise investment.
Though I will say, before we got rid of our timeshare, we got to travel to a very interesting place.
Arkansas.
The middle of Arkansas. Nothing around it. It was
great.
at a beautiful lake. The cabin was gorgeous, but there was nothing there.
Gosh.
So we went with some friends and I was pregnant with our oldest at the time. So of course I'm the driver. And we passed this place in the middle of nowhere, restaurant in the middle, nothing by it. And it was advertising 5-course meal.
5-course meal.
And what was the little thing underneath, the little asterisk?
BYOB. Bring your own beer. To a 5-course meal in Arkansas. BYOB.
So people were bringing coolers in. I don't know. We're not from the South, so maybe this is something. Maybe it's
a
common
normal
in the South.
thing.
It's not in the Midwest. So we were like, what? And people were hauling coolers into this restaurant. And then they had
we brought our cooler in.
Yeah, we did. Well, you guys did because I was sober because I was pregnant. But they had an Elvis impersonator
Yep.
singing Elvis tunes.
Mm-hmm.
And then he asked the group, after you had a few cocktails,
Adult beverages.
if there was any requests, thinking obviously an Elvis song. And my husband stands up and shouts,
"Hey, Elvis, you know any Nelly? Can you play It's Getting Hot in Here?"
and it's, I'm so sorry if you're listening to this from the South, but his little Southern accent, he's like,
Yeah, I'm terrible, but it's
I don't know, no Nelly. So, you did not get, I was like mortified because I obviously was very sober. And
but me and the other two, we were having a
you
grand
guys
old
had
time.
a blast, but they were right. It was a 5-course meal. I think we got
5-course meal, BYOB.
with your own
it was
cooler.
It
But
was fun.
that was probably the best thing to come out of that timeshare. We had some good, good memories.
It's probably the best time the whole trip too. Is that?
So yeah, there you go. So,
Okay.
Getting off.
So anyway, yeah, back to that. It says, what would you wish you have done better in the past? We would not have gotten a timeshare in the past.
Or those pans.
Yeah, or the pans. It says only 26% of the respondents said that they have a financial advisor. For those who don't have one, the biggest blocker to hiring one is the misconception that financial advice and success are only for the affluent.
Yeah, I would think that would be a myth, a big myth.
Because a lot of people, I mean, even like early on, like when we didn't have, now granted, I kind of did financial advising right out of college.
Yeah.
But if I didn't do that, I would have had the thought that like, oh, unless I got $1 million,
Yeah.
like, why do I need a financial? Like,
Yeah.
I don't have enough money to worry about
Right.
that.
And that's not true, 'cause
That's a
you just
huge
said that-
misconception because there's so many different tax strategies and investment strategies you can do that a lot of people just don't realize. So I'll give you an example. I've had appointments earlier in the day, and one of the appointments I had this morning, a Zoom appointment, what it was is really over the last 10 years, the stock market's done really well. And it's average, the 10-year number, as I looked at about a week ago, was about 12.26% in the S&P 500. And a lot of people tell me like, oh, I have an advisor. I'm doing well. I think it's good. I'm like, yeah, that's great. But really everybody's doing well over the last 10 years. Like anybody could go up. So I looked at one of their statements and it said over the last 10 years, and they were risky in the market, they averaged 5.4%. So I'm like, well, the stock market did 12.2, you got 5.4. So you're about 7% worse every year. So if you talk like $100,000, if you're 7% worse, that's $7,000 a year. And you compound that for 10 years, you're like, oh, you're 70,000 worse. Now, granted, that's only on 100. They had more than 100. So I'm like, you cost yourself probably about $250,000 just by not having better investments within there. So a lot of people don't realize that there's different investments that can perform better than what you might currently be in. So you got to say, number one, am I taking the right amount of risk? Number two, am I getting rewarded for the risk that I'm taking and looking at that? But really the takeaway, the ultimate takeaway is you don't have to have millions of dollars to get started. Once you got an income, you got a job that you're, full-time making probably 50, 60 grand plus. If you're not making more than that, I'm not saying that's not important to look at, but a lot of times you're just paying your bills. Like there's no extra money to put anywhere unless you're living off a very low standard of living.
To add to that, I feel like financial advisors can still, even if you don't, let's say you don't have a lot to invest, but as far as like a budgeting strategy or like coming up with a spreadsheet for people who are maybe like trying to just make ends meet, maybe there's just some wiggle room of, maybe we'll try doing it this way and maybe that'll save you some costs, or maybe you cut back on doing something here where you didn't realize you were overspending. So I don't feel like, even if you don't have that money to invest, I still feel a financial advisor or a financial expert could give some insight into being able to eventually have some money to set aside to start saving.
I would say the earlier you can start, the better. So if you have a full-time job, you should try to meet with somebody and at least say, hey, what do I need to get and how do I best get there? Just like you said. And then once I get there, I'll give you a call. Yeah. So they can help them get to that particular point. So moral of the story is you don't have to have millions. Granted, the more money you have, it does allow different strategies to be done that might not have been done before. I have a new workshop that I'm teaching here in a couple months called millionaire tax and investment mastery class to say, all right, how can we take potentially what you have and move it to the next level for people once they get to that level. But once again, you don't have to have $1 million to meet with somebody to help them out. But just for that course, it is people that reach that level.
Good advice. And if they do have questions, let's say they just want to have a budget sheet or something just basic like that, where can they ask those questions?
Well, you can go to our website, financially4everafter.com. Ask a question, leave a comment, apply for a 15-minute consultation with myself. Or where else can you listen to us?
If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss an episode. You can ask comments or questions on there by submitting a comment. We are also on Instagram, Facebook, and also we can be listened to on Spotify and Apple. Sometimes you're just in your car, just wanting to listen to a podcast. Check us out on those platforms as well. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Financially Forever After, a love and money podcast.